Empire Falls is a 2001 novel written by Richard Russo. It won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 2002, and follows the story of Miles Roby in a fictional, small blue-collar town in Maine and the people, places, and the past surrounding him, as manager of the Empire Grill diner. Plot: set in the small, decaying, and nearly bankrupt town of Empire Falls, Maine, this is the story of Miles Roby, the unassuming manager of the Empire Grill, who has spent his life in the town. The town, and Miles's life to a large degree as well, is controlled by the Whitings, a rich family that owns the local factories and much property. Miles is separated and later divorced from his wife, Janine, who has become a cocky, selfish person after losing weight and exercising rigorously. This is partly due to encouragement from Walt Camo, the antagonistic owner of a local fitness center who visits the Empire Grill every day and has moved into Roby's old house. Roby is protective of his loving teenage daughter nicknamed Tick, who loves art. Tick is dealing with Zach Minty, her ex-boyfriend who continues to pursue her, and struggles with her mother's relationship to Walt whom she cannot stand. In addition, she has a complicated friendship with John Voss, an emotionally disturbed boy at school. The obnoxious jock Zach and his friends constantly bully John. Other important people in Miles's life include his grubby ne'er-do-well father, a rascal who can't resist a handout when it comes his way. His reformed marijuana-smoking brother, who is a talented Empire Grill cook. His good-hearted ex-mother-in-law, who owns a bar. The town's wealthiest woman, Francine Whiting, a condescending matron who owns the Empire Grill. That woman's daughter, who has loved Miles for many years. An attractive waitress, a retiring police chief and a dim-witted police officer, who is Zach's father and has known Miles since childhood. Miles is plagued by flashbacks of his family when he was a child, including a mysterious affair between his mother and a suitor, the details of which might answer some questions Miles has had his entire life. Characters: Miles Roby, the middle-aged central character of the story. Miles is the seemingly content manager of the Empire Grill in Empire Falls, Maine and is divorced with one teenage daughter. A blue-collar gentleman with his principles intact, he lives in an apartment over the restaurant he has managed ever since he dropped out of college to look after his dying mother. However, this has left him constantly accountable to Francine Whiting, causing others to persuade him to open a business of his own. Janine Roby, Miles's ex-wife. She has developed a selfish attitude, damaging her relationship with her daughter and annoying her mother. She gained ownership of the house and custody of their daughter while Miles ended up in an apartment above the Empire Grill. Janine resents the close relationship that exists between father and daughter. As the story progresses, Janine finds the tables are turning on her for the worse. Christina Tick Roby, Miles's daughter. She enjoys a loving relationship with both her father and grandfather. Tick is smart, friendly, and more sympathetic than most of her classmates. Her mother's engagement has a negative impact on her. She despises Walt, who is trying to act like a father figure, and resents her mother. David Roby, Miles's younger brother. A former alcoholic, a reformed marijuana plant grower and a car crash survivor, David is the chief cook at the Empire Grill. His talent brings a considerable amount of business to the diner, providing ethnic dishes that attract a much larger crowd. He encourages Miles to take risks, having promised their mother to watch after Miles. It is also implied that David is actually Miles's half-brother, through flashbacks with their mother and Charlie Maine. Max Roby, Miles's father. Disheveled and constantly defiant of those around him, Max has no problem saying what he thinks of people, even directly to their faces. He is happy to accept any handout even when it means stealing money from the church. Max has a lifelong affinity for Key West, Florida. Despite being a vagabond, Max loves his sons and granddaughter and is a great deal wiser than people assume him to be. This was Paul Newman's final on-screen role. Grace Roby, Miles's late mother. She considers her son the jewel of her eye. Her affair with Charlie plays a crucial role in Miles's life. Charlie Mania, a mysterious suitor to Miles's mother and a symbolic figure in Miles's life. Charlie's involvement is pivotal with regard to why Miles has lived in Empire Falls his entire life. Charles C.B. Beaumont Whiting the sole male heir of the Whiting family, who ran Empire Falls from the factories up. Both his father and grandfather had shrewd business sense, short stature, and thoughts killing their wives, all qualities that C.B. had also inherited. When he was young, he moved to Mexico, and dreamed of being an artist or poet. His father called him back to Empire Falls, where he took up the family business, as well as an unhappy marriage to Francine Whiting. Generally unhappy, C.B. killed himself roughly 20 years before the time the book takes place. Francine Whiting the widow of the wealthiest man in central Maine. The manipulative Francine holds puppet strings over the town, in particular Miles, and has no problem pulling them when it suits her unscrupulous agenda. Her condescending manner veils a cunning woman with ulterior motives. Cindy Whiting Francine's daughter. Despite being permanently disabled by a car accident, she is a sweet woman with high spirits. She has a long-standing attraction to Miles. He is aware of it and is sympathetic but does not feel the same way. Walt Camille Janine's fiancé and the owner of a fitness club. Walt is extroverted and arrogant. He lives with Janine in Miles's old house, trying to develop a fatherly relationship with Tick. Walt makes daily appearances at the restaurant to challenge Miles to an arm wrestling match. He has a couple of skeletons in his closet, hidden from Janine. John Voss Tick's awkward, introverted classmate. He is from a deprived family, wears ragged, dirty clothing and is known to live with his grandmother after his parents abandoned him. He's constantly ridiculed by Tick's ex-boyfriend, Zach Minty. His history has created a dangerous aura about him, one that eventually escalates. No one but Tick pays enough attention to him until it's too late. James Jimmy Minty a dull-witted, unscrupulous police officer and former classmate of Miles. He is not well liked by most of the town, although he believes he is. Francine keeps him in her pocket by providing perks such as a red sports car. He has an eye on becoming chief of police one day, and has the unfortunate hobby of making copies of every key he gets his hands on, boasting to his son that he can open any door in Dexter County, which he makes frequent use of. He works directly for Francine, doing odd jobs, on a fairly regular basis. When acting as a bodyguard for her, he and Miles ultimately come to blows. Zach Minty son of Jimmy Minty, Tick's ex-boyfriend. A football star who is an obnoxious and cruel punk, Zach gets away with his bad behavior because of his popularity and his father's status as a police officer. He loves tormenting John to the point of breaking into his house, and is indirectly responsible for making John reach his breaking point. Beatrice B. Majewski Janine's wise mother. Ex-mother-in-law to Miles, they remain good friends. B frequently takes Miles's side rather than Janine's, and often makes rather pointed remarks about Janine's behavior. She owns the local bar, Callahan's, that she used to run with her late husband, serving both lunch and drinks. Since his death, however, Callahan's no longer serves food. In order to remedy this, she is hoping for Miles and David to go into business with her. Charlene Gardiner a waitress at the Empire Grill, and Miles' crush since high school. Charlene is both very attractive and very talkative, and prides herself on her ability to get customers to respond. She is aware that Miles is attracted to her, but she has neither mentioned it or dissuaded him. She has married and divorced 3 times already, and is supposedly in between boyfriends. Unbeknownst to Miles, however, she is dating his brother, David. Bill Dawes the compassionate chief of police and a friend to Miles. He is dying of cancer and is undergoing chemotherapy which takes a heavy toll on his health, confiding only in Miles with the news. Dawes is distrustful of Jimmy Minty. Horace Weymouth a local reporter and a regular patron at the Grill. He is an intellectual with a heavy Maine accent and has intimate knowledge of what goes on around town. He has a prominent cyst on his forehead and Max often tactlessly refers to it. Father Mark a friendly priest and political activist, Father Mark was moved to Empire Falls by his residing cardinal after a brief run-in with the law. He works in St. Catherine's, a local Catholic church that Miles has been going to since he was a child. Miles has offered to paint the church for free, although his progress is slow because of how much time he spends chatting with Father Mark. Father Tom, an elderly priest. He is developing dementia and behaves erratically. While he's known for being generally offensive and his love of the word peckerhead, Father Tom has forged a curious and inexplicable friendship with Max Roby that has everyone suspicious. Otto Meyer Jr. principal of the high school. A childhood friend of Miles, he is an honorable man who watches out for students like John and Tick. He plays a pivotal role when John snaps. Candace Burke Tick's classmate and best friend. Very talkative, she regales Tick with stories of her apparently active love life. When Zach begins flirting with her in an effort to make Tick jealous, she has no problem dumping her previous boyfriend for a chance with him. She finds some amusement when Zach picks on John, but is inevitably involved when John reaches his breaking point. Justin Dibbler he's Zach's best friend, and has a crush on Candace. Overweight, with a penchant for junk food, he participates with Zach in taunting John, although he draws limits when Zach breaks into John's house. He too is affected by John's revenge. Miniseries adaptation, the novel was made into a two-part miniseries that aired on HBO in 2005, starring as Harris, Helen Hunt, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Dennis Farina, Joanne Woodward, and Paul Newman and produced by Mark E. Platt. At the author's suggestion, much of it was filmed in Kennebunkport, Skowhegan, Winslow, and Waterville in Maine. It won a Golden Globe for Best Miniseries in 2006. Empire Grill. During the filming of the Empire Falls miniseries, a pizza parlor in downtown Skowhegan, Maine, was transformed into a greasy spoon diner called Empire Grill, which closed 6 years later due to a depressed local economy. In 2011, a Thai restaurant opened in the space. References. External links, IMDb entry, Review of Empire Falls.